This is the Chappell Real Estate Show, episode number 27. So I really like having those daylight bulbs in the house. So that's what we did. We picked up, 3 or 4, 12 packs of those bulbs and went through, replaced all the bulbs inside and out of the house. And I was blown away with how much brighter everything was. I mean, it literally, I don't know if it's just my eyes or whatever, but I mean, something about that yellow hue of lighting, it didn't bring enough brightness. And they were those old halogen bulbs too, so they generate a lot of heat, they burn up a lot of electricity. Another plus of the LED lights is that it's actually going to give you better energy efficiency. So I mean, all around, it's definitely a good investment. I'm a big fan of having the correct lighting to really show off a space and make sure that all those dim corners are really bright, because that really makes the space feel a lot bigger.
Welcome to the Chappell Real Estate Show, your source for the latest real estate information so you can buy, sell, and invest with the best in Texas. Whether you're a first-time buyer, a current homeowner, or a seasoned investor, you've come to the right place. We're here to simplify all things real estate so you can achieve your goals of property ownership with your hosts, Daniel and Roger Chappell.
What's up, listeners, and thank you guys for tuning into the Chappell Real Estate Show, your source for the latest real estate information so that you can learn how to buy, sell, and invest with the best. I'm your host, Daniel Chappell, here with Roger Chappell, my dad. What's up, Dad?
Hey, guys. How's everybody?
Oh, another day in paradise, man. It's been a very busy week, still getting settled into the house and the office and everything. So, I've been busy, and I'm sure everyone else has as well. So this week we are going to bring some kind of different content for you guys. We wanted to kind of provide a little bit of value in terms of what we can do during the summertime to kind of revamp our houses. Some of the timeless trends to transform your space, if you will. So one of the things that we're gonna talk about, or a few of the things that we're gonna talk about, are some of the updates that you can make to your house, some of the things that bring a little bit more value in terms of resale whenever you make upgrades to your house, and then just things that you can do to kind of make your house feel a little bit more homey. And a lot of these can also be translated into staging tips if you're considering putting your house on the market. So really excited to bring a little bit of this stuff for you guys, a little bit more of a fun episode. So let's get talking about it. So Dad, what is today's Chappell Chunk for our listeners?
Yeah, so today's Chappell Chunk is people really need to pay attention to the small things, the little small details, to actually change the entire space of where you live. For example, there are small little things that you can do that aren't that expensive that can literally transform your house into a home, or your home into yet a better home. There's just a lot of things. We're going to talk about a few of them today, and hopefully you folks can get some pretty good ideas on what you can do.
Yeah, awesome. And that's so true. I mean, if you've ever purchased a home before, I think I mentioned this in one of the first videos way back when, before we ever even started the podcast, but it was just kind of some of the things that you can do to make your house a home. And until it's one of the biggest benefits of owning your property versus renting is that you can do any and everything that you want to really make that home or that house your home. So once you've owned real estate, you really kind of get an idea of what it is to personalize everything to the full extent. So really excited to bring some of this stuff to you guys. So the first one that we're going to talk about is introducing Greenery. And this is one of my absolute favorites. My fiance and I, absolutely love plants. I've got them all over my office. They're all over the house. So introducing Greenery to the space is always a big plus. So Dad, why is introducing Greenery so important in terms of what kind of value it brings and then what it does to the space in and of itself?
Well, I mean, as far as resale value or things of that nature, it really doesn't help at all, to be honest with you. What it does do, however, is that it brings the space to life. So what I mean by plants, I've got one here in my office. When they're properly watered and they're taken care of, they get enough sunlight, they look really, really bright. You have some flowers that bloom at different times of the year, so you introduce some other color as well. So it actually adds quite a bit of life and brightness to an otherwise boring structure. If you think about it, if your walls are kind of an off-white or they're beige, kind of an off-beige like mine are, you really need some greenery to kind of bring that stuff out and bring the house to life.
Yeah, and I actually had heard at one time too that it plants a little bit of a subliminal message that life grows here, and I think that that's actually a kind of an interesting perspective, but it is very true. I mean, it really there's something about the vibrancy that plants bring to a space that just makes it feel more alive, like you said.
Yeah, yeah.
So some of the different ways that you can incorporate plants into your home are going to be number one, landscaping, and that's a huge plus, especially when we talk about something that increases resale value. So when we say plants, we're not just talking about decorating your space with plants, a potted plant on your desk or anything like that. We're also talking about the actual landscaping, planting beautiful plants outside, nice trees, things that, like my dad mentioned, add a little bit of color, grow some flowers, and add a little bit of a spin on the color scheme of the outdoor of the home. Dad, I know you and Mom love doing the landscaping at your house. So for our listeners, what are some plants that, at least down here in Texas, that you would recommend for an outdoor space that kind of help bring a little bit of life to the outdoors?
Well, I'm not the nurturist, naturist kind of person. As far as what the real names of these plants are, I don't have a clue. I'm truly clueless. I leave that up to Mama. But I do know that we have hydrangeas that we put in pots, and for some reason they do really, really well in pots. They haven't done so well when we transplant them into the ground. I don't know why that is. I assume it's because of the soil, not the atmosphere. So the hydrangeas now we've kept in really large pots, and then we have various pots scattered throughout the yard and at different levels, so that we, when those things bloom, they're beautiful. They have these huge blooms that come out on multicolors, so that really looks nice, and the plants just look fantastic. But they also don't like the heat, and they don't like extreme cold. So we have to be cognizant of that. Like today, it's 100 degrees. I just watered the plants yesterday. I'm going to have to go out and water them again today, just because they're already drooping because it's so hot out there, and they need the water. But if you pay attention to those kind of plants, they'll do really well. Rose bushes. Our roses here have just done phenomenal. So right after we moved in, we put some flower beds around on one side of the house, and well, actually we did them all over the house, but within these flower beds we put some special soil. And I don't know the soil. Our gardener had all this. He's the one who recommended it. We put it in there and planted these rose bushes. And I'm telling you, those things have taken off. It's ridiculous. And then for privacy, across our back fence, we have neighbors who actually look down into our backyard. I can't stand it. So I like the neighbors. I just want my privacy. So we planted these trees called red tips. And I don't know what the scientific name is for them, but I'm told they'll grow 22 feet tall. Well, they're only 3 years old, and the suckers are already about 18 feet tall. They're huge. And it seems like every year when I trim them, they just grow taller. So now they've actually blocked out the neighbor directly behind us. And they're getting really thick this year, too. So that was even after this harsh winter. But believe it or not, these bushes, they weren't phased not one little bit. So it's a very hardy, sturdy plant for Central Texas. So my suggestion is, when you start doing your landscaping, you want to try to get plants that are native to your area, or native to the region that you're in, and then incorporate different types of plants. Some will be flowers, some will not, some will bloom, say, in the spring, some will bloom in the summertime, like crepe myrtles. Crepe myrtles like to bloom in the fall and in the summer. Ours are blooming right now. So that kind of gives you a little bit different color versus in the springtime when we have, lilies. Lilies all do really well in the springtime here as well. And those suckers, they come back every year. They die down. I don't see them at all. The following year, they'll be 2 feet tall and blooming like crazy. It's just, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, and I'm a big fan of the rose bushes as well. They're one that once you get them growing, they're very, very resilient. I know they were one of the first plants to come back after we experienced the freeze back in February, and it didn't take long at all. Once things warmed up, those things started budding like crazy, and we had roses, growing all over the place at our house. And then the crepe myrtles as well, and those are another one that I wouldn't have expected to be so cold resistant. I know they took a little bit of time to come back after the freeze, but I haven't seen any of them that have failed to recover. They've all come back pretty strong as far as I can tell. So yeah, those are all really great plants for our area. But again, you want to make sure that it's something that's going to thrive in the zone that you're in. Just because plants, I mean, some of them are going to be real finicky. Some of them are going to be very easy and low maintenance. I know some of our favorite plants for the indoors. So that kind of leads us into the next section is what kind of plants can you use on the indoors to brighten up the space. So, my fiance and I, we like simple plants. So we have snake plants. They're really easy, require very low light. We have the pothos vines. We have English ivy, which is this one right here. All of them are really easy to care for. They're low light plants, so they don't have to be right up on top of the window, or if you don't have a lot of natural light coming in, they thrive in low light environments. They don't require a whole lot of water. You can go a couple of weeks without watering them, and they'll still be just fine. So we like simple plants that are easy, bring a lot of color to the space. And then the other cool thing is there's a lot of variations of these kinds of plants too. So if you want something that has a little bit more of a green or a dark green, or if you want something that has some whites in it, or even a little bit of red, there's all kinds of different plants that you can use on the indoors to kind of change up the colors and bring a little bit of vibrancy in.
Yeah, so we're talking about plants, and plants are just one idea. So one of the other things you can do are what I would call accent pieces, or maybe accent walls. And these accent pieces they may be a piece of furniture or a piece of artwork, or maybe even a color of a wall or a special design of a wall that is completely different than everything else. It kind of stands out. So when you walk into the room, this is the first thing you notice. That's why they call it an accent. So they can be any number of things. Daniel, why don't you name a couple of them?
Well, I know for us, one of our favorite accent pieces in our bedroom is a chair. Or a rug. We've got when we bought this house, it had a lot of grays, like dark grays, some light grays, a little bit of some like whites and purples in the countertops and stuff like that. So we wanted something that was going to soften the space up a little bit, and we found this rug that had some light green colors that perfectly matched this little chair that we had. So we tied that light green chair into the light green hues of the rug, and it's just light enough that it ties the gray and all the other colors in. So we love that. That's a really good accent piece. For some other types of accent pieces, believe it or not, plants can be great accent pieces as a little centerpiece on the coffee table or the dining table. A bowl. I know my mom loves using like bowls with like spheres, kind of spheres that are painted into more abstract kind of textures, and putting those and displaying them in like a clear bowl or a wooden bowl or a vase or something like that. So a lot of those are really good accent pieces. Even artwork. So we've got a really beautiful painting that I know my dad is a little upset that we ended up with. It was one of his favorite paintings in our house growing up, but we have this painting. I believe it's of France, and maybe I'll turn the camera and show it to you guys a little bit later on. But really, really beautiful painting, and it is a focal point. Depending on where you put it in the house, it draws your attention, and it really pulls you in. So those are all some really, really good ideas for accent pieces.
That actually ties in very well to our next little topic on this, which is the artwork itself. So when you have an accent piece, such as that piece of furniture, or that rug, or that centerpiece on a coffee table, or maybe even a coffee table itself, and then you have the right art piece that ties in the rest of the room, then you've got something that really pops, that grabs everybody's attention. And they're not drawn specifically to that painting necessarily. They might be drawn into the entire space. So that's kind of what you want, is to have that art piece that kind of ties everything in together and blends so well that it almost goes unnoticed, but it's still a very prominent piece inside that space, if that makes any sense at all. I have it in my mind.
No, absolutely it does. And I know when we were staging our house to sell down in Kyle, Mom had some really great some photographs. So she has these really big prints of I don't even know where they're from, but just kind of, they're like abstract pieces of just like a section of a door, or like a part of a window, and like they're kind of just pieces that make you think a little bit. You look at them and you're like, what is that exactly? And then you kind of, and those were really cool because they tied in all the colors. Like you said, it had some reds and some beiges and, just kind of those kinds of colors to really bring the whole space in together. So, art pieces, and not just art, we say art, but art can be photographs. It can be, I know we've got little live edge pieces of wood that have paintings on them, your traditional paintings or just posters, movie posters, all kinds of things. So, all that stuff, depending on the space, you can find something that'll really do a good job to tie the room together.
So one other thing that your mom does that I find very appealing is mirrors. So not just any mirror. It's nice to have a really nice framed mirror, but strategically placed. So, the right mirror in the right place actually makes a room feel larger. So I remember at one of our properties, at the one in San Antonio actually, when we walked into that space, on the left side is just this bare blank wall. And we hung up a really nice decorative mirror in that space there. And then on the opposite wall we had, I believe it was one or two art pieces, I can't remember. But the reflection was there. And automatically it drew your attention both ways. So as soon as you walked in, it was a very wide kind of a foyer, but literally both sides would kind of pull at you. And then we had a couple of chairs and another little small table in between the chairs for kind of a seating area. So it was actually quite comfortable and it was very welcoming. So I remember that mirror, the way she wanted it, she was specific too. That mirror goes on that wall. And it really worked out quite well. So mirrors, excellent way to bring around the room.
Yeah, and something else about mirrors is they bring a lot of brightness to a room too. So especially if you have a room that maybe doesn't have a lot of windows, they do a great job of reflecting light. So that's another great way. I know in low light areas where you have plants that require more light, hanging up a mirror behind like a table of plants will help reflect more light into the plants and let them thrive a little bit more. So mirrors, yeah, they're great. They really do open up the space. We're actually in the process of trying to find the right mirror for our entryway. Because you walk in and it's a little bit of an enclosed space, so putting a mirror there will kind of make it feel a little bit more open. You can see around the corner, and it just makes brings the space a little bit more space, I guess, if you will.
Yeah. And then finally, one other thing, and we've kind of touched on this already. It's kind of funny how this all flows together. Is actual lighting. So I was just talking to a client just a few minutes ago who just moved into his home. They're actually still in the process of moving into it right now. And one of the big negatives at that particular property is the amount of lighting or lack of lighting in that house. So there's a lot of dark areas. So he was looking at possibly replacing a lot of the lighting with new recessed can lighting. Well, as you mentioned before, Daniel, he may not have to do that. What a simple little $30 expenditure, he can go and replace all those light bulbs with, what did you call them?
So we actually just did this in our home. So as we mentioned already, we moved in a couple of weeks ago, and some of the fixtures are a little bit older. It's an older home. They upgraded a lot of the fixtures, but not all of them. So there were some areas where there were some dark spots. Like my dad just mentioned, there's some areas where it could probably do with some canned recessed lighting to kind of bring a little bit more light in. But what we did to start things off is we just went and did a quick trip to Walmart. I think we spent $30-$40 and bought a few of those 12-pack of 60-watt daylight LED light bulbs and replaced them all. So they have different hues of lighting. They have different watts, and those are going to bring in more or less light, more or less bright. So depends on what you like. Some people like the soft white, which has a little bit more of a yellow hue. I personally am a bigger fan of the daylight. They have a more of a white, bright hue that kind of mimics that of the sun. So I really like having those daylight bulbs in the house. So that's what we did. We picked up 3 or 4 12 packs of those bulbs and went through, replaced all the bulbs inside and out of the house. And I was blown away with how much brighter everything was. It literally, I don't know if it's just my eyes or whatever, but something about that yellow hue of lighting, it didn't bring enough brightness. And they were those old halogen bulbs too, so they generate a lot of heat, they burn up a lot of electricity. So another plus of the LED lights is that it's actually going to give you better energy efficiency. So I mean, all around, it's definitely a good investment. I'm a big fan of having the correct lighting to really show off a space and make sure that all those dim corners are really bright, because that really makes the space feel a lot bigger.
Yeah, it most definitely does. So one of the other things that you can do to kind of give a new look to the house, literally, is something so simple. And I think some people do this, but not very often. And that's rearrange the furniture. So I know with your mom and I, it seems like, I don't know, I'll come in from work one day and the whole house is rearranged. I'm like, how did this happen? I didn't see any of it. Where was I when all this took place? And it looks like a different house entirely. So yeah, it's pretty awesome to see all that, and it really does. It's a game changer.
So that's where I got that from.
Most definitely. One of the things you can do too is literally take the paintings or the artwork and change rooms with it. Just move it to a different wall, move it to a different room, and then change a few colors here and there. I mean, it's amazing how dramatic that changes things.
Yeah, and I know, changing the accent pillows is a big thing. Mom and her pillows, she loves those freaking pillows, man. But you move an art piece, you take the pillows that match it and follow it around into the next room, and you can tie it in just about anywhere. And that's what we did too. We've got a couple of couches in our living room that are different colors. We've got a green one, a beige one, and another green one that matches. So we took some beige pillows and threw them on the green couch, got some green pillows that matched the green of the couch and threw them on the beige couch, and it just kind of brought everything together. But that's funny that you mentioned about moving all the furniture, because I am notorious for that. I remember even growing up, every couple of months I was rearranging my bedroom. To this day, I probably rearrange my office like once every month and a half to 2 months. I just, it's something about the feng shui, you just get a little bit of a different feel when you move the furniture around.
That's too funny. It's too funny. So a couple of things that you can do too is your mom is always on Pinterest. So she's addicted to the Pinterest thing, and I say addicted, that's not necessarily true. But the Pinterest is where the vast majority of her ideas come from. So she'll look at various homes and decorum and design studios and things like that, and she finds something, and then she's like, I wonder if I can do that to my kitchen table. So then she'll figure out a way, okay, so I don't like these chair covers anymore. So she'll reupholster the seat covers on the dinette set. Now, mind you, we've had this dinette set for 20 years, and it's always changing. It's always changing. But it's still the same 20-year-old dinette set that we had in the beginning. But it looks fresh, it looks clean, she's always changing that stuff around because it's simple to do and it's very inexpensive. So it's a lot cheaper than sending them out and having them reupholstered. You don't need to do that.
Absolutely. And I think it also ties into the importance of buying quality furniture, because that furniture has lasted forever and it can be reupholstered over and over and over again because it's made with solid wood. It's not cheap particle board or, materials that aren't going to last. I mean, quality furniture, it truly is a good investment to purchase good furniture.
It's funny you mentioned that because, we were talking a little bit about this earlier, and, some other things that might actually add a little bit of value to the home, so to speak, is when an appliance breaks down, or here's a perfect example, this happens all the time. How often is it after you've been in the house 5-6 years, all of a sudden the daggum toilet won't flush? And you've got the guts in the toilet, you pull it out and it's all this cheap plastic stuff. Well, spend the $17 and replace all the guts. $17, that's all it is. And you can replace it yourself. Make sure you drain the toilet first. Trust me on this, drain it very well first. Then turn around and replace the guts of that thing, and it'll last you a good long time. And it's good quality stuff. If you do the cheap way at $7, you're going to be changing it again in another year. So just do the good quality stuff. When it comes to your fixtures, if you like the brass finish or the, what is it called? Brass nickel, brush nickel. The brush nickel finish, that's on everything nowadays. But I'm starting to see brass come back and darker blues. So you just never know. But whatever it is that's in today, you can get the idea off of Pinterest, and you'd be surprised how easy it is to do these things.
Yeah, definitely.
So Some of the other things you can do too. Measure the space and then draw it out on a piece of paper and try to imagine what you can do with that space. So I recently sold a home to an engineer. And this gentleman and his wife literally came through that house, I don't know how many times, with the tape measure. They had already measured all of their furniture, so they knew the dimensions of their furniture. They measured the dimensions of the entire house, all the bedrooms, extra rooms, the garage, the laundry room. So they knew exactly where everything was going to go when they brought it in. It made it easy for them to move into that house. They already knew where everything was going to go. And how often is it, Daniel, that you and I will take a buyer through a house and they're trying to imagine where their furniture is going to go and how it's going to fit here and there. This is the exact same concept. Only now you're actually living in the house and you're trying to change it up a little bit. So it behooves one to go ahead and take the measurements, draw it out, try to get an image in your head, look at the Pinterest or online or wherever it is that you're going to find your design, and then get after it, get her done.
Yeah, and that kind of ties into the whole Pinterest thing. You got to have a vision. You don't want to just like go in there and start aimlessly moving furniture around. Trust me, especially if you have the quality furniture, it is heavy. You don't want to just move it around all willy-nilly and then hope that it lands in the right place. No, trust me. Plan it out, draw it out, get on Pinterest, get your ideas together, get you a pen and paper, draw the space and figure out, okay, if I move this around here, is there going to be space for this over here? And try to play around with it before you actually go through and move everything around. Because I have done that before. Move all the furniture and then I'm like, I hate this. I'm moving it all back.
Yeah, but back it goes again. And you know, in today's digital world, can you believe that there's an app for that?
I can. 100% I can believe that.
So, yeah, there's apps out there. Start looking for them. We've got a couple of them. Magic Plan is one that works for both Android and iPhones. Then, let's see, Decor Matters and Room Plan Pro. All of these are apps that you can get. Some of them are purchased, some of them are probably free. I'm not familiar with any of these because I have not used them. I have a bride who loves to rearrange things and I stay out of her way. So I don't need one of those apps. I married one. So, but for those of you that need some help with design, these apps will probably work quite well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up all of the topics that we wanted to cover for today's episode. Dad, are there any other thoughts that you wanted to share with our listeners before we go ahead and sign out of here?
Yeah, actually, so I've been mentioning a couple of times about some of the referrals, and I mentioned a couple of buyers that I've worked with here recently and have had some closings and whatnot. But one of the things that I wanted to bring up again is this referral stuff. So with each one of my clients over the last week, and there's been 4 or 5 closings, each one of them have needed something done to the home that they're moving into. And one of them needed something done to the home that they're selling. So with all of that, we were able to get them the referrals they needed to get that work done. Or to have the cabinets installed that I know one of them is having installed, and some new lighting and some electrical and things of that nature. So with that, I just wanted to let everybody know we are referring business out. And one other final comment from me is we had a few questions on last week's episode, and I wanted to let everybody know that we are researching one of the questions that we received. And just to reiterate, if memory serves me correctly, the listener was asking about what happens on a VA loan, and does your forbearance go as a lien against your property? And I can tell you that yes, that does go against your property, but I'm not sure. I believe he was asking if it would affect the way he could purchase another property, or if it would affect how much he would be able to borrow on a VA loan. And I don't have the answer to that right now. I've got a few folks that I'm talking to get that answer for you, but I did want to let you know that yes, there is a lien that goes against the property. We know that from a couple of other deals that Daniel's worked on. So you do have to allow for a little bit of extra time to wrap that up.
Yeah, no, that's definitely great. So we'll have that answer for you guys next week. We'll also be commenting back on the video where that comment was posted, so that listener can get the answer to his question. But I think that pretty much wraps us up for the day. So thank you guys so much for tuning into the Chappell Real Estate Show, and we will see y'all on next week's episode on Tuesday. Take care and have a great week.
We'll see you.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Chappell Real Estate Show. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and leave us a review. Find us on social media at Chappell Realty Group and online at chappellrealtygroup.com. Until next time.